So in the concept of manifestation, this is a very common question which has been asked, is what should I do? What should I do from the point of assuming my wish fulfilled to its realization? What is it that I must do? And the answer to this is nothing. You can't do anything to specifically make your assumption become a reality. If you want to take action, you can take all action you want, but that does not mean that those actions will create the results which you want. And this is the most fascinating thing which I've seen about free will. So I've been reading The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard, you can see here, and this is a question which I had all the time in my mind in chapter 21, free will. So this is what he says is, it is a delusion that other than assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you can do anything to aid the realization of your desire. So all we need to do is assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and everything else will come into alignment and our wish will be realized. That is the power of law of assumption. Okay, so the illusion of free will to do is but ignorance of the law of assumption. So the illusion of free will is basically, if you believe in the total free will, it is basically ignorance of law of assumptions. So your assumptions, conscious or unconscious, direct all thought and action to the fulfillment. Okay, so when you are in your state of being, in your state of wish fulfilled, your conscious and unconscious assumptions will get you to your realization. So when you're in your state of wish fulfilled, your concept of self will change. Your law of assumption, through the law of assumption, a lot of your belief system, a lot of circumstances around you will change to get you to your wish fulfilled. So the question comes, what is actually free will? What does it actually mean to be free will? That means we don't have any free will. What kind of universe we live in, right? So free will is the free will which we have. The main thing to remember about this free will is it is about choosing the desires we want. That is our free will. Okay, free will actually means freedom to select the idea you desire. That is the free will. Okay, but assuming the idea already to be a fact, it is converted into reality. And it's very well put in through this line: I can of mine own self do nothing. I can of my own self do nothing, because I seek not mine own will, but the will of the Father which hath sent me. So basically, the Father obviously refers to God, and God is defined as I am. And I will be is a confession that I am not. So if you're thinking that I will be, and this is what your inner conversation is, it's a confession that I'm not. That means you're not in the current state of wish fulfilled. So if you are in a state of wish fulfilled, if you are stayed in your I amness, there's nothing will be, because you are already in that state. That is a key distinction which I want to make, which a lot of people struggle with. I struggle with a lot, and I also had arguments with other people, discussions, I would say, with other really good manifestors. And so in the law of assumption, your consciousness is the being. Consciousness of being is the Father's will. Okay. So this is a great quotation which is little understood, and it's a perfect statement of the law of assumption. So law of assumption works like that. So Neville says it is impossible to do anything. You must be in order to do. You must be that in order to do. So if you had a different concept of yourself, everything would be different. What you are what you are. So everything is as it is. The events which you observe are determined by the concept you have of yourself. So this is where I had a discussion with one of the people. I told that, when I improved my singing, and I told them that he said, why after so many years, I knew that you used to play guitar a long time ago, but why after so many years you got into singing? And you're a decent singer, like not exceptional, but you're pretty decent. I never expected you to be singing that decent. And they said, I said it was by law of assumption. And they were like, what's this law of assumption? I said, I just assumed that I'm a great singer. I just assumed I'm a great singer, and I just practiced every day for 15 minutes. Not anything extraordinary. And within a few weeks, a month or two, I was doing pretty well. And they're like, oh, this is crap, and this law of assumption, this doesn't work. And they were just tooling on me nonstop, right? And she put a very good point. She said, if I want to be a top level pianist, and if I never ever practice, if I just assume I'm a top level pianist, and I never ever practice piano, just go and sit on the piano, will I be able to play the piano? So I said, this is where the confusion is. You are assuming that the action is what is making you assume the wish fulfilled. When you're in the state of being, so when you're in that state of being a high-level pianist, practice is automatic. It's not something you do to become that pianist. It is just something you are. That is your being. Every pianist practices. Someone practices 4 hours a day. Someone practices 1 hour a day. Doesn't matter. If any high-level pianist, their being practice is a natural expression of their being. It's not something which they do to become something. It is just an expression of their being, and they are being that. And by just being that high-level pianist, that professional pianist, practice is something very natural. It comes to them all the time. So it's not something that they're doing to become something, right? You can't do anything. You're just expression of your being. So that was something I explained to her, and eventually she didn't understand, but she went back, she thought about it, and it started to click for her. So this is something I would like to share with you as well. So what is basically our power? What is the power that we have as humans, right? So our power is, you are a being with the power of intervention, right? Intervention, which basically enables us, by a change of consciousness, to alter the course of observed events. Basically, we can alter the course of observed events. And that is, in fact, to change the future. So we have the power of intervention. Through assuming our wish fulfilled, we can change our future. Okay. So all we need to do is just deny the evidence of this physical 3D world and assume our wish fulfilled. That is all we need to do. Everything else, it will be just an expression of your being. It will come naturally. That is the only thing you need to do. Rest all will come naturally. So this means, what does it mean? This means, make your assumptions the highest, noblest, happiest concepts. There is no better time to start than now. So make them the most noblest, the happiest concept, because if you're doing it to be happy and to make some positive dent in the world, it will be manifested way more easily and way more powerfully. All we need to know is we win by assumption, not by force, but by assumption. Just by assuming it, things work out, things happen. So what is a change in fortune? A change of fortune is a new direction, an outlook, merely a change in arrangement of the same mind substance. Merely a change in arrangement of the same mind substance, which is our consciousness. That is our mind substance. So what is that need to take place in ourselves? The essential thing that must take place in ourselves is our own concept of self. So you must assume what you are and what you want to be and continue therein. For the reality of assumption has its being in complete independence of the objective facts. So just let go of the 3D reality, let go of the objective fact, just be in your wish fulfilled. You don't have to do anything, you just have to be. And so the most important thing to bear in mind is that you have infinite free will in choosing your assumption. That is where our free will lies. A free will lies in just choosing our assumption. That is a free will. But no power to determine the conditions and events. We just don't know how it will happen. We just know that it will happen. That is what we need to do, and assume that state. And if you want to take additional action, people say, I don't think that will just help me. I want to take additional action. I want to do something. What am I going to do all day? I'm just going to sit and assume. I'm not going to do anything. I'm like, if you are in that state of being, that action taking will be part of your being. You won't have to force yourself to take action. But if you're feeling that, I would suggest go ahead and take action. If you feel like, you want to be a top level pianist and you have to practice 2 hours every day, go ahead and practice. But don't think that will get you what you want. If you think that you have to work 12 hours a day in your business to make it work and make $100,000 a year, that is your assumption. That is your assumption. If you assume something else, results will be something else, right? And I know a lot of people who have assumed that the only way to get rich is through a business, and they got rich and they got a lot of money through lottery or inheritance or some calamity, crazy things have happened to crazy people, or a gift, they have received all this money and all these things. So they assume that it's going to come through a business, but they went to the end and they just kept in that feeling of wish fulfilled, and that wish came to a realization through a means which they did not think it would come. They were taking all this action, they were doing all these things, but it came through something else, completely different thing. I'll give you a very quick example of this person who shared a story on Facebook. And he said he was looking for a job. He was already working a full-time job. He wanted some additional income. So, he was working a part-time job. So he wanted some additional income. So he wanted another part-time job in the similar kind of field so he could make more income and he wouldn't have to do something other than that, what he has been doing. Right? So all he did is he assumed the wish fulfilled, and that's it. And he kept sending, he sent his resumes every week, and he talked to people, and he did all these things. But you don't know how he found his job. He one day went to a grocery store, and one of his old acquaintances bumped into him, and he said, "Hey man, I remember you work in this field, in such and such field. I'm actually looking for someone who works in that field and exactly like your job profile." And done, he got a job like that. He sent all his resume, he contacted all these people, he did networking and all these things. But he got his result through a completely unexpected way of just bumping into someone in a grocery store. Just imagine, he took all this action to get this result, but he got it by a completely different thing. So we don't know how it's gonna come. If for your peace of mind you want to take that action, please go ahead and take that action. But remember that we don't really know how it's gonna come to a realization. We don't know the how, and we just have to let go of the how. And that is the power of law of assumption. So just assume the wish of your state fulfilled. Please like and share this video so that more people can reach more people and more people can watch this video. And if you have any experiences like that, please post them in the comment section below. Until then, take care. Cheers.